Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session. I'm very happy to be here with all of you. I'm sure that we have many people from all over the world joining this conference, and I'm very excited to present this session with you, Global Family Cross ERG Collaboration. And I think, first of all, I really want to say thank you to Pride Circle for creating this space and bringing us together to share a little bit more about our experiences in this wonderful journey of making workplaces more inclusive for everyone. I think I also would like to invite you to really enjoy every minute of this event because it goes really fast. And well, I've been participating in different conferences for many years, and I think each of them has been a unique opportunity for me to keep building my network and also to expand my vision by listening to so many different perspectives and ideas about collaboration and different very interesting topics to have a bigger impact in our communities. My name is Ivanna Marin Mora. My pronouns are she, her. I am originally from Costa Rica, and I'm living at the moment in the Netherlands. I've been here for 5 years. I've been with Intel for 14 years already, working in different roles in finance. And I see myself as a very passionate advocate for diversity and inclusion. So for the last 8 years or so, I've been also dedicating part of my time to get more involved and give a voice to the underrepresented minorities, because that's mainly because of my own personal story. And while I've been focusing on initiatives supporting the LGBT plus community and our allies as well to work together. And well, in a few minutes, I will share a little bit more of that wonderful journey with all of you. And thank you again for having me here today. Now, I would like to open the space to invite our panelists to introduce themselves. So, Divya, would you like to go first?
Sure. Thanks, Ivanna. Thank you so much. So, hi, everyone. First of all, I am quite excited to be here, and hopefully, what we share with all of you will be helpful and insightful, and our journey will help you as well in your journey ahead. So my pronouns are she and her, and I lead the India University hiring team for VMware India. So that's my day job. Me and my team work towards hiring young talent from universities, and we focus on branding and engagement for VMware as well in these universities. So, and as part of my DEI effort or DNI effort, at VMware, I am the regional co-chair for our India Pride Pod. And when I say pods, it is basically stands for Power of Difference Communities. That's what we call our ERGs at VMware. So in case you hear me saying pods, that's what I am referring to, the ERGs there. So yeah, so I am a proud ally, and the focus for us as well this year has been allyship. So I'll talk more about that probably in our further conversations. So yeah, that's on me.
Welcome, and thank you very much for being here. Iris?
Excellent. Hi, everyone. My name is Iris Piko. I'm very excited to be here and to join fellow panelists, Divya and Ivanna, in this discussion. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm from Intuit. I work at Intuit, and I'm based in the Bay Area. I'm the global Pride leader, part of our ERG. So we have 3 co-chairs here as part of the global leadership team. We have 600 members as part of our ERG, with it being the 3rd largest ERG within Intuit. So in my role, I help kind of champion diversity throughout Intuit by focusing on issues that our LGBTQ colleagues face internationally and domestically. The work here within the Pride ERG is really aimed around bringing a spectrum of light, compassion, and understanding to allies to create a more inclusive world that kind of empowers our community. And so that's a lot of the work that I've been doing. I've been with Intuit for 5 years. I started in the Canada office, in actually starting off the Pride ERG there, the chapter there. Moved over to the Bay Area 3 years ago and have been in the global Pride leadership position for just over about a year.
Okay, thank you. And also welcome. Thank you so much for being here. So to start, what do you think if we share a little bit more about our own individual, but also the journey of our company in regards of LGBT inclusion? If you can share with us a little bit more of the communities and the groups that you represent, and how has it been for you during this time? Divya, would you like to start?
Yep, sure. Okay, so let me start with my journey. Means for me, I think I started with the whole D&I effort. Means it was something which was part of my job. Somehow, as part of being part of talent acquisition, this was something which helped me build the hiring model. So being part of the inclusion team helped me there. Was focused on the women hiring piece and, bringing in diverse talent within the organization. And slowly I started getting more involved with the Pride pod, right, with the Pride ERG, attending conferences, hosting events. And somehow I started connecting with the transgender people, the community there. And that's where I, got more closer to the Pride pod and how I started contributing more towards the Pride pod. And today I co-lead the Pride site, India site as well. So that's been my journey of how I, became part of the whole D&I effort. But if I have to talk about the organization on, how the journey of the organization has been, I would say that we have both geographic as well as demographic pods, right? So means if you see that there is a lot of focus on these ERG groups to kind of lead everybody to success. So the mission for our, Pride pod per se is to kind of build that diverse and inclusive workplace for all the members of our LGBT community, and so that they can bring their authentic selves to work. So we drive that through various things, through just making sure we are able to kind of cultivate it within our talent acquisition space, within our retention space, with innovation, productivity, and which benefits our employees as well as, say, our customers and partners as well, right? So that's been our mission. And if I look at it from what we are trying to achieve is we are trying to kind of create VMware as an employer of choice for LGBTQI plus people, right? We are trying to kind of scale ourselves in such a way that we are able to impact within VMware and beyond VMware as well. And opportunities like these or forums like these help us talk more about what we are doing and what our efforts are, and how we can together learn from each other as well. So basically the the LGBTQI plus community, or what we call as our Pride pod, is focusing on attracting, developing and retaining our diverse talent and making sure we bring everybody together and build that inclusive environment.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, that's very impressive. And Iris, would you like to share about your journey as well?
Sure. So I shared a little bit in my intro that originally from Canada, so I've been with Intuit for 5 years. And at the time, we actually didn't have a Pride chapter in the Canada office or the Toronto office. And so being a socially progressive country, there's still a lot of work that we could do to encourage allyship, encourage just that environment of belonging. And so that was kind of the start of my work within Pride, was really kind of raising awareness and having that sense of how can we cultivate our employees and just continue to to foster that space, that safe space, and encourage, diversity and inclusion. So within Intuit, diversity and inclusion, what we say is it's not just something that we do, it's part of who we are. And what was really incredible for me is that, bringing your whole self to work and how that means for employees to really be able to, not have to hide themselves, not have to, feel all sorts of emotional burden while they're coming to work to do, to do a passion, to do what they love to do. And so it was very important for me to continue on in the mission to help. How can we remove those barriers? How can we, help, educate our leadership team, our employees to be, better allies and support. And so that was really, really incredible for us. What we launched 3 years ago was an ally program that was specifically dedicated towards a tiered program to help employees kind of go, it's a 3-level program that really helps promote education and ensure that allyship across the organization. So we launched that around 3 years ago. And in 2020, we focused specifically on our transgender and non-binary community, and we hosted our first ever trans summit. And it was, we just wrapped up 2022 at the end of March. It was on Trans Day of Visibility, March 31st. And it was really a day filled with education, storytelling, panels that explored personal experiences. It was a really incredible day for us to be able to, raise the voices and visibility for that community. So that in what we do as part of the global leadership, I'm so humbled and grateful to be able to give back to the community and to be able to help our employees really make an impact here at Intuit. So.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. I really love what the phrase that you said about this is who we are. So it really make the company accountable as well, right? To take action and have a more proactive approach when it comes to inclusion efforts. So I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to share a little bit about my journey, the ERG, the LGBT plus ERG at Intel, it was officially established in 1995. So yeah, last year we celebrated our 25th year anniversary. So we're very proud of that. And at the beginning, it all started with a distribution list to start building that community. And as the group was growing, we started to establish more chapters and different efforts around, mainly at the beginning in different states in the United States. So I joined Intel in 2007. At the moment, DCRG, all the efforts and initiatives, it was mainly focusing in US. There wasn't any like visibility outside US, and I didn't know about iGlobe at the time that I joined Intel. And during that first year, I also started my own personal process. That same year was when I came out to myself. Then it took me some years. I only came out to myself. I didn't share it with my family or anything like that. And I guess I just started to really build what it means to me, right? And just define how I wanted my journey to be. And it was until many years passed, and I was having that feeling that I was about to come out to my family, and I really wasn't sure. It was very uncertain for me, and so I came out at work first, then to my family. So we didn't have an ERG there, but my manager, who was very supportive and very inclusive as well, he really took the time to build that trust, to build that relationship as well. So it really allowed me to have that safe space to open up and come out at work first. So for me, my personal story, my company was my first safe space to come out. And later on, I came out to my family and that. So I really wanted to highlight that the role of managers and leaders in the organization is really key, and it can really change one employee's life and just have a huge impact. So at the time that I came out at work and I continued my process, then one of my colleagues, she told me that she heard about this group supporting the LGBT plus community, and I couldn't believe it at first because it wasn't visible in Costa Rica at the moment. So after just some research in our internal resources, I found this group, and I saw that they had monthly meetings to come together and interact, and I started to join those calls. And again, it was mainly US. I think I was the only one at the moment from outside US. And at some point, I think maybe 2 years after I started joining these calls, I said, well, I want this in Costa Rica. How can I create this ERG locally and have these amazing initiatives, participate in the local pride and everything like that? So they coached me to create the first chapter outside Costa Rica, outside US. So that was the first international chapter that we had. And after that, as the group was growing, we were able to coach some employees from India, from Mexico, also Vietnam, and different others in Europe. Recently, I also led the effort to create the chapters in the Netherlands, in Poland and Germany, and really expand our presence to make sure that we have a visible platform for people to connect with an extended community as well. So speaking of community, because I think for me at the beginning, that was like my first wish. I really wanted to find the community to make sure that I wasn't the only one. And as we start building that community, we also increase our sense of belonging, which is really key to also improve our retention indicators and the ramping of our employees as well. So as we start finding the similarities, and we build that community sense, regardless of the legal, the social context or the different challenges that we face locally, we have this common factor that is solidarity, because maybe from our experiences, we have faced challenges and we feel that we relate to others, right? So in that sense, how has it been for your groups to leverage this virtual world to foster the cross interaction, to make sure that community sense and also the belonging doesn't go away? So how has it been with this remote working to interact with cross geographies? And yeah, if you can highlight how the importance of the ERG group to really bringing people together as well, mainly given the current circumstances.
Totally. All right. Would you like me to start?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I can start. Sure. So ERGs, the way that I see ERGs, and I think a lot of folks will say the same, is that they are the roots of an organization. And so with COVID, last year, there was more visibility into racial violence, into systemic issues, particularly with our trans and non-binary community, just of how it has impacted directly or indirectly the majority of our employees. And so there was a lot of sentiment around exhaustion, around emotional fatigue. We heard that commonly throughout our ERGs. And so it was really around June, like around the springtime, May, June, where we came together as not just from the Pride ERG perspective, but we have 12 ERGs at Intuit. So it was an opportunity for us to really come together, find commonalities between us, and understand the value and how we can support our communities during this crucially challenging time. Because community is just so key. ERGs as a whole, they provide that structure, that trusted, environment, and that connection was just so needed during this time where we were so disconnected physically. And so virtually, what the Pride ERG did in last June was host a virtual Pride Month, where we had 25 plus offerings that really expanded across the globe. So where typically we would have had local Pride events within, Boise, Los Angeles, London, where we would have actively participated in the Pride parades or the Pride events. We had to scale back because a lot of the sites were impacted, and really look at the health and safety of our membership and the changing of the climate. So, we had to effectively, work immediately to pull all participation in Pride events, because there was 120 at the time that were being canceled or postponed, and really turn it into a moment of, well, how can we come together during this time, knowing that we have, a virtual platform, and provide a World Pride Month offering. And so that was our opportunity to not only work with our Pride sites in Bangalore, in Israel, in London, and Brazil, to be able to, and in Canada, all across the globe, to provide offerings that helped our community feel that sense of belonging and feel that sense of connectedness. And that was so critical during that time. I think we probably did it in a matter of 2 weeks, coming together. We worked with other ERGs, our African Ancestry Network, our Women's Network, to host opportunities and cross-collaborate in events that really were at the focus point of how can we address these challenges that we're facing at the moment, but also the blessings of us coming together as intersectionality, and recognizing our collective brilliance by kind of offering events that were really centered around education, around awareness, speaker storytelling. We had a physical aspect of it, meaning we had our gym went virtual, so there were offerings where we had nutrition based, so color your plate with different types of nutrition. They were all pride themed, but they were all ways in which we could bring a sense of elevatedness in a very, it was a very difficult time. So we tried to kind of provide offerings that helped us celebrate, but also recognize how we can be in solidarity, uplift our voices for our LGBTQ family, and celebrate what it means to be part of a community that is much greater than us. Yeah. And what were the main channels of communication that you used to make sure that you were covering different geographies? Is it more like a member list, or do you also partner with your local communications that make sure that it's visible? Yeah, so we have a DEI comms manager that helps us on the communication side, but we actively, Slack is a company-wide communication tool that we use. So we had a comms strategy from a Slack perspective, as well as from we came together as part of our monthly check-ins with our Pride leaders. We developed a scheme, a schedule within a Google document, which really outlined all the programs throughout the month. and scheduled Zoom meetings. It was pretty scrappy, but at the end, it had a lot of weight and a lot of anticipation as part of the programs. But we leveraged Zoom as kind of our main platform, Slack as the communications, emails. We had leadership support. So we had a panel kickoff with Sasan, our CEO. So we had a fireside chat, which that really helped kind of kick off the World Pride Month. And so the offerings were very intentional and very thoughtful. But the mode of communication was, really coming together over Slack, over Zoom, and we created kind of a sense of, meeting invites and just getting the communications out. It was pretty grassroots, but we also had our DEI comms lead that helped us kind of push it out into the greater channels as well. That definitely did help, and getting leadership support for sure.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I think that's great to keep building and working on that relationship with other stakeholders that can amplify the voice of your ERG as well. And Divya, do you also have examples of the different efforts that you have been working on in your company in this virtual world?
Yeah, so a lot in common with what Iris shared, right? Means I think one thing that the remote working brought is bringing all the geographies together. I think that is something that we were able to kind of do because there is more accessibility, right? Means when we are doing things locally or in person, you don't get access to what's happening in other regions or visibility around that. So I think that is something that we were able to create in this last 1 year. There were so many events and programs that we could host, means a lot. Again, as I said, like what Iris spoke about, right, with a lot happening in the different regions, right, we could support sitting in India, support our Black pods, support, the Asian pods, the concerns that were, kind of being highlighted, and at least raise our voices, talk about it as well in different, conversations that we were having as part of our ERG groups. So definitely, I think the remote working brought that. There was some fun stuff as well, right? Means as part of our Pride Pod, when we had our June month celebration, we had various people come in, have conversations, external folks come in, talk about, and it was something where we were able to bring everybody together. We had 𝘕𝘁𝘴𝘁 come in, the actor, right, Sulu, as all of us know him from Star Trek, right? So just his experience, his journey, and I, sitting in India, was able to kind of attend that, and it would not have been possible if it was not for, having that access on, through remote working, right? So we had comedy night. We had a lot of fun stuff as well. We had some serious discussions with people from the community, the challenges, and, all of that as well. And various other events. We were able to kind of, something that we kind of focused on was sensitization, right? And that, again, we were able to kind of take care of that both locally and globally because, again, our folks in US have a very different access to a lot of things, right? And it's very different in our region. So we were able to kind of bridge some of those gaps as well. So I think that's how it's been for the last 1 year. And remote working has worked in certain ways and helped us get more connected with the ERGs in different regions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think it's so true what you're saying, that in the past when we were used to go to the office or travel, maybe not everyone had access to the different events or sessions. And now with this virtual world, even though of course we miss the face-to-face interaction, it's also like multiplying the different opportunities for the entire community to join and come to these spaces, right? To also connect with other countries as well. I think when I see the impact of the ERGs in bringing people together and making sure that these efforts that they don't drop flat, I think it's key to recognize that it has to be intentional, right? To create these spaces to connect with people, to allow employees to speak up, to be heard, and to connect, to interact with everyone. Also, some of the things that we saw is that some employees, they had to go, because of pandemic, they have to go and live with their families, and maybe they were not out to their families as well. So it was so important to make sure that we were like constant with these spaces as well, and to give them the space to connect and at least make work a safe space as well. And I think a lot happens at local level, even in the virtual world, but also there's also, for example, we have different leaders in the different countries for the LGBT ERG. So we meet once a month to give updates of what's going on locally, but also to find those collaborations and make sure that we can make it available for everyone as well. So just keep practicing that connection and really building those spaces as well for the leaders of the ERGs to come together and find new ways to collaborate. I think it can be very, very powerful as well. For sure, we have a lot of benefits that we can recognize from those practices, right? But also challenges, not only in the virtual world, but working with cross ERG collaborations. So in your experience, what are the challenges or benefits that you have seen as a result of these different interactions? Iris, would you like to share maybe some challenges?
Some challenges, yes. I would say the lack of a middle leadership support, that's really key. In terms of ERGs, a lot of companies, although there are some recognitions that are happening, that are starting to happen, but there does seem to be sometimes a lack of recognition for the work that we do, meaning that it's sometimes a volunteer role. It's sometimes something that is just a passion, like project of ours. But we're making real change in our organizations. We're making people feel belong, people feel heard. Like we're allowing minorities to feel visible and to feel connected in a critical time, like more than ever. And so the challenge has really been to be able to, raise the value of what we offer to our employees. And I think with Intuit, we have 12 ERGs. There's a lot of dedication in what we're doing in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. And so I think it's more than ever important for us to continually have this dialogue, and especially when it comes to your people managers, when it comes to middle and upper management, what does it mean to use inclusive language? What does it mean to, just continually educate and get that support? I think in the efforts that we've been doing as a Pride ERG, I was mentioning the Trans Summit and our virtual Pride Month, inviting our leadership to join in the conversation, having that conversation. There's an element of vulnerability that has really surfaced where, folks are being open and honest of what they don't know, when we know better, we do better, right? And so I think there has been this open sense of dialogue that has really allowed us to come to the table and have that discussion of learning and being really, open and honest of, well, I'm here to grow, I'm here to learn, and how can I better educate myself? And so we've seen a lot of this shift of ERG participants and leaders really coming together, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I think that's, that has been, the main challenge and something we're continually, working towards. And it's all around how do we open the hearts and minds of those that we interact with. So that I would say is, that's a challenge for sure.
Yeah. In your experience working with cross ERGs, do you have any best practices or learnings that you have gotten along the way that you can share with the audience here that they can also practice?
Yes. So as I said, right, means for us, I think means just working with the different ERGs or various ERGs. One thing that is there is that each region or each ERG has a different experience to share. So there's so much more that you can learn in just collaborating and coming together, right? Like for folks in the US, right, they have so much more visibility, they have so much more experience or understanding about the whole LGBTQI plus community, right? When it comes to the regional, or even if I have to look at the APJ region per se, there is so much that is still not open, or there is still no visibility, or people do not have the understanding of how to have conversations, right? And it can be with our leaders, it can be with our managers, it can be within teams. So if I have to kind of look at, I think there is always so much more to learn, and we've kind of been able to do that with our cross collaboration with our ERGs in different regions, right? At the same time, the only things that we have to look at is focus on what we are presenting out in the different regions, right? Means culturally sensitive information, still some regions who do not have things which are legal, right? And how do you present that? So I think those are challenges, right? When we even means someone in the US, we are having an event there, they might not relate to what's happening in India or how to kind of present that here in India, right? So while it has its perks, we just have to make sure that we're able to kind of leverage that, able to kind of see what are the cultural nuances, take care of those things before we put it out, in various regions. So I think those are a couple of challenges that we face. But yes, it gives us more visibility, definitely, when we work with various regions. And that gives us a lot of at least understanding in different regions, and people relate or are able to kind of relate a little bit more, also with regards to our sensitization sessions that we, have, right, as I already spoke about that as well. That also gives a lot of visibility, a lot of understanding on how to handle situations specifically for leaders and managers.
That was a really great answer. It prompted me to just think through how inclusivity is, it must be built on a strong foundation of understanding how diverse our community really is. And so when you were talking about kind of the cross-collaboration, I'm thinking of how we adopt an intersectional lens, and how the Pride ERG or all ERGs can help educate and celebrate our community members and inspire collaboration across ERGs. So one of the things that with Pride Circle, we have a great partnership with them in India, but we were able to look at kind of the virtual offerings and bring some of the offerings at a global scale. And so I wanted to just, bring awareness to the Trans Summit panel, and we had a panel discussion from a representative from India, Israel, and the UK to provide a conversation that really looked at lived realities that were from a global perspective. Because yes, we can be super US centric, and I think what has happened in the virtual world is it has allowed us to really look at bringing, and how do we, acknowledge the different experiences that are, are those lived experiences that we don't necessarily have, we're not that connected to. And so that was a really great opportunity for us to have that cross geography collaboration by having a trans woman, from India, an ally from Israel, non-binary person who has been out in the workplace in the UK, and really talk about what the legal and social transitioning looks like, or how can places and colleges make colleagues make it a positive environment or impact. So.
Yeah, I think intersectionality, it really is really interesting when we find it even within our own community, right? The experiences or challenges that an LGBT woman can face in that also, identifies as Latina might be different to the challenges that a woman part of the LGBT plus faces in US as well. So I think it's intersectionality really recognize the uniqueness and also makes you question your role in your community as well, how to make sure that you are including diverse points of view as well. And well, if we can leave the audience with two very easy actions that they can go and practice in their own organizations when it comes to finding collaboration, I think it will be great to share with them just a couple of action items or things that they could practice. Because I think when we get involved in these D&I initiatives, we want to do so much that it can be overwhelming as well. What I've seen in my experience is that sometimes I want to be everywhere and I'm actually nowhere. So one of the things that I really would like to recommend is to find those 2 or 3 main areas, right, that you want to focus on during a given year. Because what I've seen and the philosophy that I'm really trying to integrate in my practices with my communities as well is that inclusion, it's a journey. It's not only like an end goal. So in that way, I don't feel like I'm racing and I really need to cross that line. It's a journey that you practice every day. So really finding those 2 main priorities can give you more focus to really have an impact in those 2 areas. And then the next year it might change and it's fine. I think we're evolving every single day. So if you can recommend something for, to the audience to go and practice with their own ERGs, what would that be? Divya, would you like to share something?
Yeah. So one thing that I want to, kind of tell everyone is that one thing that we need to focus is on bringing our true selves to work, right? We should be able to kind of stand up for ourselves, be able to ask for help, right? I think these are important things. We should be able to leverage the resources that we have, the ERGs that we have. I think that's something, means ERGs are there for a purpose and we should be able to, utilize them the right way, reach out to people wherever it is required. So I think that's one thing that I would tell people to do, right? And join the ERGs, be part of those groups, right? Means there's so much you can learn being part of the ERG groups, right? And you don't have to be part of everything, right? Even if you are part of the Pride ERG, it's not important that you attend every meeting that is happening or every session that is there, but at least contribute. Like you said, Ivanna, like pick up 1 or 2 things that, you can focus on, means you have your day job as well. But that definitely helps, I think, is what I would say when it comes to my key points that I would want to add here.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Iris?
Yeah, I would say that I would say, first of all, have that open dialogue. Be willing to come to the table and be just vulnerable and open to having the dialogue of how we can better support our employees, because we know that Stronger Together includes us. And so expand that dialogue of how can we uplift the community. Our goal is to really create that dialogue and to educate ourselves and our employees, our community, and at the end of the day, to improve the lives of everyone connected to the LGBTQ community. And so I think communication and really understanding, when there are opportunities of events, if there's opportunities where we can bridge, and come together, we know that fosters a sense of connectedness and a sense of community. So where is that intersectionality, and how can you in your companies really have that dialogue and understand where are the parallels between each other, because there are very inspiring stories to be found there. So I think the journey of, having the dialogue, coming together as ERGs, and understanding where that that cross section is really important to kind of foster that Stronger Together kind of view and bring compassion and understanding to our community.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And for those ERGs also that might not have a sponsor, just really to open the invitation to go and find an executive sponsor as well, to someone that can translate to management what are the needs of that of our community as well, right? To make sure that everyone has a voice and that we are heard as well. And if there are also managers or executives in this session, also another thing that they can do, and something that we applied at Intel, was to create a leadership council. So we can have that space, and we meet once a quarter or every 2 months to make sure that all those topics are addressed from the top as well. So yeah, thank you very much for all your sharings. I think it's been a wonderful session, and I really enjoyed it having this time with you. So very nice to meet you as well. And for the audience, I hope you enjoyed the conference. And I know the Prize Circle has been sharing our contact information in social media. So if someone wants to reach out or has more questions or anything like that, please feel free to connect. And thank you as well.